Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Satya, what is the secret to making a good bagel?
I'm still finding this out. I'm on a bagel journey. But what I've learned so far is that you really need to develop the gluten. So you need to knead that sucker a lot, like probably more than you think.
Right.
And then a lot of the bagel, like sort of things that make a bagel a bagel, the ideal version of a bagel, really have to do with like the combination of like the proofing and the boiling, and like if you overboil then you overdo it and they get flat, and so like you're kind of trying to like triangulate these different factors that like create the right texture and height and density and chewiness and taste with like the variables of proofing time, kneading time, boiling time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so what's the difference between a bagel and a donut?
A donut is fried in oil. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I haven't ever made donuts. I'm actually like to try making donuts, but I think the dough was probably sweeter, I would guess.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing I've heard about bagels is that like New York bagels are like the standard of like, this is what a bagel should be like.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's predominantly the water in New York that makes the bagels of New York better.
That's what people say. But there could be other factors, because you hear people say that like, oh, the flour in France is what makes the croissants taste the way they do, or the butter, or, you know, so.
Right. So have you imported water from New York?
I have not.
Are you even trying is the question. I want to give a shout out to Iago Fidani. I know you're listening, my man. Iago is a good friend of mine. He turned 50 this past week.
Aw.
He's my like
Happy birthday.
happy birthday. And and the reason is because I talked to him. He listens to our podcast, and he said, we were discussing the banter.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, banter's important. You got to have some banter. So
You tend to skip over the banter when we get into our later episodes that we record.
I know. So Iago, that's your banter on bagels, buddy.
Bagel banter. Maybe bagel banter needs to be a new segment
And
on its
thanks
own.
for letting us celebrate your 50th birthday with you. It was a really special night. We had a fun evening with Iago and his family, and Kara, his partner, made an amazing sushi dinner for us.
Wow.
And it was like I make like rice rolls for my kids, and like I'm not that great at it, but like to see sushi, like of all the cuisines, like when somebody makes sushi in their home and it like turns out really good, and I'm like,
It's impressive.
it's so impressive to me. Yeah. So anyway, it was a nice meal. We even had a little sake, had a Sapporo beer, really sent it big time.
That sounds so fun.
It was fun. Yeah. And it was over in El Cerrito, and they live up on the peak of like the Berkeley Hills, Oakland Hills, El Cerrito Hills. And I don't think I've never been that high over in El Cerrito, but like you see everything in the bay. Like you can see downtown San Francisco, but all three bridges, like everything is.
You get a great view from over there.
Great view. Yeah.
Terrific.
I always wondered, I was like, man, you drive all the way to Marin to work from El Cerrito every day? Like that's got to be but
That's
when
why.
you get up there, it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay. Well, banter, check.
Nice.
Topic, introduction. I invite you to talk about what we're discussing today.
Okay. Well, I've been picking up on a pattern of some people who've started coaching with us recently. And a lot of them say things like, when I was successful with my fitness in the past, a lot of them have had past fitness successes and then fallen off, and they're trying to get back. And they recognize that the deciding factor of what made them successful before was accountability. Mm-hmm. And I thought it'd be interesting to look at the different forms of accountability that we create for ourselves. And I know that Darren and Haley touched on this in their podcast last week. And there are kind of some themes that are starting to come up around like what makes some forms of accountability more effective or less effective than others.
Right.
And so it's one of those things where if you set yourself up with a good structure around this, it can really make or break your approach to fitness and how much consistency and success that you have. So that'd be good to kind of unpack a little bit.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think before we start talking about like systems of accountability, like what is accountability and why do we need it in the first place? Because like, you know, does like what's something that you just find so much joy in doing every single day? You know, I don't know, name something.
I find joy in hitting my sauna every Sunday morning.
Okay. Well, okay, so you find joy. It's very, like, when you do it, you look forward to it, you love it, right? How much accountability do you need to do your sauna every Sunday?
I would say 0, except you had to give me a little bit recently because I was just totally neglecting all the things that give me joy.
Right, right. So you needed a little bit.
A little bit
of
like one little nudge, you know, every 5 years.
Right. You know, how about just like your morning cup of coffee?
Oh,
like,
0, absolutely.
You
0.
don't need any accountability.
Oh, no.
It's like, it's part of your life. You almost need it. It makes you happy. It's
I would not skip that unless I was like deathly ill.
It's, you know, so like don't need it. But then, then you go the other end of the spectrum. What's something that you find like really hard to do, but part of your brain knows you need to do it?
Tracking my food.
Tracking your food. So like, then that's something that requires more accountability.
For sure.
And more. And like, why is food tracking, you know, requiring more accountability if when you do it, it brings you a lot of benefit versus making a cup of coffee in the morning?
Yeah, because some things that we do that bring us benefits are not fun in the moment. It's just more about the big picture of where it gets us.
Precisely. And not fun in the moment isn't necessarily like, I don't enjoy the process. It could be that like, to get the process started, it requires some effort to get there. Like, I mean, we're going to talk fitness, so there could be drive time to the gym. It could be, you know,
I'm tired. The workout is hard.
Yeah. Like, I always like being at the gym when I get there, but to get to the gym is hard. Or
I got to have my laundry ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Other things come up that, you know, are more of a priority. I have to put them first. And the reason I have to put them first is that I didn't find a place in my schedule earlier to prioritize them. And so then having accountability where somebody is waiting for you at the gym at this particular time, or you have a schedule, you have a group class that you go to, or whatever, that becomes more and more important. You need that.
Yeah.
And you could do this with like, you could just play this game. It's like, why do I need accountability in the first place? Because I want the benefit of something that right now feels that there's friction to getting it done. Identify what those friction pieces are, and you can either implement accountability to get you through those, or you can try over time to reduce as much friction for that thing, and then you require less accountability.
Yeah.
And then maybe at some point it becomes this thing that you love so much that the accountability for it just drops to 0. Like almost 0. Like it's your morning Sunday sauna. Like some people feel that way about their weekend workouts. They're just like, my weekend bike ride, my fitness, that is my, nothing gets in the way of that. I don't need accountability for that. I'm just going to always do it. It's going to happen. And you know, in the online fitness trainer influencer space, you know, it's like people say like, well, how do you stay so disciplined to do this thing and just do all the work? Like, you're so disciplined. It's like, it's not discipline. I just have a good time doing it. Like I'm having fun. Like if I had my best day ever, it would just wake up and do the things that I'm just showing you online. Right. Whereas that's not the case for everybody, because they haven't, maybe they maybe haven't gotten there yet, or maybe never will get there. Like not everyone loves to work out. And no matter how hard you know, show them how fun it can be and give them an example of that, they just don't necessarily get there.
Sure.
So as we start to talk about accountability, it's like, well, what do you need accountability for? How much do you need? And it's like the amount of accountability you need around a behavior can change over time, and it can look different. What you use for accountability in the past isn't necessarily the thing that you can use today. And that's how the conversations that have come up with clients is that, oh man, I used to do this and I was in this really good rhythm for that, and and it was working so well, and then that stopped, and now I just maybe I need to get back to doing that. The example I hear frequently is, I never was a gym person. I just love to just play sports and just be outdoors and do stuff. And I was like, okay, talk to me about when that was in your life. And they go back sometimes all the way to like college. It was like I played in the intramurals. I would like do this rec thing. I was always like playing some sport. And then like we would always go for like hikes on the weekends with my friends. I'm like, okay, how many years ago was that? It's like, oh, it's 22 years ago. Okay, what's different now? It's like, well, I'm not playing the sports anymore. I'm like, okay, well, are there any intramural or rec leagues that you can join? No, I don't have time for that. It's like, okay, so it's like, but I just don't like the gym. I like to be playing sports. I'm like, well, do you see what's going on here? Like, do you see the issue with what you're saying to me? You're saying that you had the accountability to stay active in college, playing these sports, that you had all this time to do and were like accessible to you. And that's the only way that you ever understood fitness. And now you're 20 years later and you quote unquote don't like the gym. You want to do sports. And I'm like, well, me too. Like, I want to play sports all day and be in shape, but I don't have time to go play, a soccer game every 3-4 times a week, nor is that even like available in my local area. And, it's like, so we got to let go of the old accountability system and we got to find something new. And and I know that you, like, what were some of the examples that you've heard about people's former accountability systems that are no longer working?
Yeah, it's really interesting to tease out the structure that they were in and the accountability piece of it, because some of them would say things like, I used to work with a dietitian or a nutrition coach, and the reason it stopped working was because the diet was not sustainable, but it's like, but the accountability really helped. Like, that's what really like did it for me. It's just sort of like knowing that there's a person, any person who is waiting for you to report back on what you're eating, even if, the system of eating itself was not so hot. And then the other things were things like, I used to have a coach at my gym, but I don't go to that gym anymore. Or, the scene kind of dissipated and we're just not in touch anymore. And so it's really interesting sort of like looking at the role of a person, any person, and then the actual thing that they're holding you accountable to, and kind of teasing out the difference. Because I think that like, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but sort of like, would it work to be accountable to just anyone, or do you still have to have that belief that that person has some expertise to guide you or has some knowledge of what you're trying to do that makes it more effective to hold you accountable to that? Yeah. Well,
there's no question that does play a big role for people. It's, that's trust, and, the building of trust to then say, okay, now I trust you enough for you to be my accountability system. That can look very, different from one person to the next. And I know for example, at stages of my fitness career, my competitive fitness career, it was like I had a coach, and then that coach left the industry. And I was like, oh, well, who am I going to get as another coach? Like, I don't know if I trust anybody as much as I trusted this person. So I went for 6 months with no coach, and that didn't work for me. So then it was like, okay, well, now I got to find someone that I trust as much, but maybe my criteria or the benchmark that I would hold that person to it's gotten lower. It's like, well, I saw what happened when I didn't have this person, and yeah, in a perfect world, I'd have it just as good as I had it before, but I might need to lower my standards a little bit in order to just implement some accountability now and get back onto a good path and get back onto a consistent, competitive training, schedule and process.
Yeah. And then I think the other patterns that people tend to fall into have been holding or being accountable to someone who's more of a peer. And that could be like your gym buddy or your spouse. And then that can also get into a complicated dynamic sometimes. I think sometimes it works great, and then sometimes there are pitfalls.
For sure. Yeah. I had a training partner for a long time. Everything was great. And then my training partner moved away, and everything's been a hot mess since then. It's like, oh, okay. So like there's risk in putting the accountability in anybody else's hands or any other place other than yourself.
Yeah.
If you can be fully accountable to yourself and know exactly what you need to do and get it done, like that's the ultimate level of accountability, because then you're not relying on somebody else's, work schedule or where they're moving to, or whether they decide to take another job and move away from coaching at your gym that you're at. And, these are things that, or like, I'm accountable. And then to take that another step further, I think it's beyond accountability. It's a system in place that is simple and appropriate to whatever stage of life you're in, that needs to underlie whatever layer of accountability you put on top of it. So to be a little bit more clear, it's like, hey, I did really great with this dietitian, nutritionist, or this nutrition coach, but it stopped working because the diet and the approach itself became too extreme for me. So like I'm having a conversation with a former client right now from 10 years ago, and he's like starting to ask questions about nutrition, and I'm asking like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm just kind of doing like the carnivore thing right now, but it's like, I just don't think that's going to be sustainable. So somebody coached him on carnivore, maybe was guiding him on carnivore, had some accountability system around that, and now it's like, oh, I just don't think I can do that anymore. So there's a recognition of, hey, I've arrived at a place where my accountability system is no longer working or has vanished. Okay, why is it not working anymore? And if it's not working anymore because the underlying system that you're trying to follow is really the problem, then it's not about the accountability. It's about, there's no amount of accountability that's going to hold you to doing this thing that doesn't feel good. The other good example of that is people who we talk to and I talk to, they're like, hey, I've been doing CrossFit for 8 years. I love my gym. I love my community. I love the coaches. Like they hold me accountable. I like show up, but like, I just can't do CrossFit anymore. It's just beating me up and burning me out. And I feel terrible. And my progress has gone backwards and all these things. Like there's a laundry list of why it's not working for them anymore. But they're like, but I don't want to give up my community and my gym. And so it's, I wish there was a perfect solution, but you have to start making some decisions, some value decisions. It's like, what's most important? That I just keep doing it and have the accountability system, but see my health and fitness results and how I'm feeling be suboptimal, or find a new system that gives me optimal fitness, health and fitness, and, outcome results, but maybe have to take a departure from that old accountability system, move away from the group fitness thing, move away from your gym, and yeah, I want everybody to have it all, but sometimes like for periods of time, you have to make a choice, and that becomes really hard. Like, I don't know if I can give that thing up.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing in this sort of question about values and what is the most important piece, because I think that choosing someone to hold you accountable kind of goes back to this question of like, well, would anyone do, or would anyone with any like reasonable amount of experience with nutrition and exercise do, or like what are the criteria for someone who is like the ideal person to hold you accountable? And I think that a lot of that is that like they have to know what you're trying to do and understand that it's something that's hard, understand that it's something that you might not be able to do on your own, and hold you to a higher standard. And I think that's where sometimes an accountability person who is in your life that could be a peer is helpful if it gets you to the gym, if it gets you consistent, if it gets you showing up. But I think that's where the limit to that relationship can be, where sometimes that person doesn't have the ability or the peer relationship doesn't work in the way where they're going to call you out on your BS and be like, no, like we're going to go the extra step because that's what we're trying to do here. And it's not just about showing up to the CrossFit gym and getting in a great workout and me giving you a thumbs up and saying, good job today. It's about like, no, like that last rep needed to be about, 10 pounds heavier or like, no, we're going to like do the hard thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Something I wanted to circle back to was the idea that sometimes the system that you're trying to be held accountable to is just too complicated. It's just too hard. It's just not aligned to your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I like to play intramural sports. It's like, cool, your system for staying in shape was playing a bunch of intramural sports and rec sports, and you're 42 now, you've got 2 young kids, like your extracurricular activities are driving kids to their activities after school.
To their extracurricular activities.
And then you sit on the sidelines and chat with parents. Like, okay, so that system's too complicated, or it's not feasible in life right now. So we got to create something new. And as it relates to like how I've kind of my coaching philosophy has shifted, is that there are people that need more complex systems to achieve the goals that they have. And once those new complex systems have been built for them and, designed, then they need an accountability partner for that. So an example is, somebody contacts us and they're like, hey, or like I'm talking to somebody, like I really want to, maybe a good example is like last week I had a conversation with an acquaintance who was sort of struggling a little bit with nutrition. We had a conversation about nutrition. I was like, well, let's have a conversation, see if there's any way we could support you. Now, this person, I come to find out, okay, they're a high-level rugby player. I didn't know this about their history. They played on college teams. They played on international teams for their, parents' country of origin, like have competed at high level, and actually a relatively high level trainee, like trains very specifically for rugby. Like I want my training to be applicable to my sport, not just looking for general health and fitness and strength and body composition, but there was some desire to have body recomposition. So, okay, there's something that can be done there. Done macros for years, or at least has had like experience tracking macros, knows, the fundamentals of food, but is like, I really want to really look at this from like a sports performance perspective now and really make sure that I'm optimizing, for these training sessions that I'm having. I'm also coming back from an Achilles injury, Achilles tear and surgery earlier this summer. So like, okay, I take all this in. I'm like, all right, this person has some unique, needs and a little bit more nuanced in how the training gets designed. What, like in this final stage of his injury recovery, what his nutrition should look like now as compared to, a few months from now when training ramps back up. Doesn't need just to learn what protein is on a plate, understands that, but it's maybe getting a little bit more into nutrient timing. So that was like a more like that system that needs to be built for that person is a little bit more complex. And so the first thing that I would say is like, okay, this person needs more system building than accountability right now. Once that system is built, it will be important for something specifically around nutrition for him to be held accountable, because in the conversation it was like, well, you've let your body composition go from where you would like to optimally be. So clearly what your knowledge base on nutrition hasn't supported you for the last 6 months to stay at a leaner body composition, which is what you want. So that's probably an area but he doesn't need accountability to get the workouts done, to train hard, to like execute on that portion. So yeah, that's the insight into a consultation. That is not most people, especially most people we talk to.
Yeah.
By any means.
Yeah.
Like, person I talked to today had some goals for like fitness outcomes. Like, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do this. I'm like, cool. Let's look at the fundamentals that you're doing right now. inconsistent training, jumping around from program to program, trying to figure out, like, wants to get bar muscle ups, consecutive bar muscle ups, wants to get, you know, his mile run time under 7 minutes, wants to get his 12 mile 45 pound ruck time under 2 hours, like, wants these specific things. So what's he doing? He's looking up a calisthenics program, and then he's looking up at this program, and he's looking up at that program. And then I'm like, okay, well, but you're talking about, you have pain every day. Like, your joints hurt, your back hurts, you're inconsistent with your strength training. You're not even doing a consistent strength protocol. You don't measure anything with your food, and you are admittedly 20 pounds roughly overweight. Like, why are you trying to complicate things with a very intricate system to try and get bar muscle ups and get your run time down when you don't even have those fundamentals in place? I believe that the first step is, let's simplify your system of training down to the most fundamental things, and your system of nutrition down to the most fundamental things that we know make a very big impact on people's health and fitness. And then once that's there, layer in the accountability to just do that. And for some people, accountability means keeping them from going off and doing 10 other programs.
Absolutely.
And doing all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
I have another great example about Rob, which I can share next. But, you know, some of these individuals just need accountability to stop doing so damn much and kind of going in 10 different directions that are all failing, when just one simplified direction would take them so much further. So I eventually said, like, hey, the next 6 months, don't worry about bar muscle ups. Don't worry about those things. Worry about this simple container of how we can support you. And once that's there, on top of that is like, yeah, I don't have the knowledge to build that simple system, and I don't know that I can hold myself accountable to doing it long enough, consistently enough, because my track record shows me bouncing around to 10 different things. I'm like, okay, that is, so there's no amount of accountability that's going to keep him consistent doing 5 different programs without a good base of nutrition, because that's just not going to work. But once we simplify things, once we actually learn what it takes, right? And go back to last week's episode with Haley and Dara, it was like, oh man, like, I don't even know how to incorporate strength in my life. You know, it's like, okay, well, how do we build you a system that you can actually be accountable to and consistent with? You guys just need to come 3 days a week for an hour. That's all you need to do. So let's build that. And now it's like, they don't see the gym as this thing that's like so hard. They learn that, like, to be a strong, fit, muscular woman in their 40s, I just need to show up 3 days a week, execute this training plan at a high intensity. They had to learn what that is. We didn't complicate it with too many things.
Totally.
So you can develop a great accountability system once a simple enough system is in place for you to actually have success. And that's my real philosophy these days, is like, what is the simplest thing that we can do for our clients, simplest system that we can set up of nutrition, activity, and training that will support 90% of what they want, and just get them to do that really well for 6 to 12 months. And at that point, after a year, it's like, oh, now I'm autonomous. Now I know how to do this. Now I'm accountable to myself, and I know that these are the things I need to get done. And yeah, you might go through a period of time where you're like, life gets busy and it's harder to be accountable to those, 3 to 5 checklist things that you have to do. And so you call in a friend, or you're like, hey, I'll meet you at the gym for this. You work around that. You adjust the accountability to your life demands, but around the thing that's simple enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so great, because I think it is so true that if you have too much going on, a huge part of the accountability factor is like, rein it in, because as soon as it gets hard, that's our escape mechanism, is to go look for the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do believe that I get into conversations with people that either, it's like they're overconfident, or they don't believe they can do it.
Yeah.
The overconfident person, the person that assumes that they need a lot more, they need the most complicated thing, they need to do all the, it's like, you're right. You have to like rein that back in. And like, yeah, periodically there is that person that really needs that. And they're outliers, and there are specific coaches and, you know, people out there that work really well with those. You know, it's like sports performance coaches or really nuanced coaches that work really well with high performers in some aspect. But more often than not, it's like, no, like rein it in. Like you don't need all that. You know, like it's funny because like I can be that person sometimes too. Like I've had a 20-year fitness career or more where I've been a high level athlete, and I'll be like, oh, I need to do like these extra things, or I need to do this extra stuff. And 10 years ago, that was true. 15 years ago, that was definitely true. I was trying to win the CrossFit Games or make the CrossFit Games. Let's be real. I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to win regionals, maybe qualify. But now I'm not there. Like, and what I circle back to is like, oh, I just need to do the basics, and I need to just do them really well. And when I do the fundamentals really well, when I follow pump lift 3 or 4 times per week, when I make sure I'm getting 10 to 12,000 steps a day, when I track my protein and I hit my calorie goals, like, and then I'll go for 3, 4, or 5 months doing that. And then maybe I add in a mountain bike ride because it's the season and I do that once a week. Like, that is it. When I try and do too many new things and add too much, I usually start to pay the price of trying to overcomplicate it.
Yep.
And if you're really good at executing those fundamentals because you have a good system, and then initially you have a coach or some layer of accountability to keep you just doing those things, it's a huge win, because at the end of that period of time where you really focus on those simple things, you learn a couple of things. One, you learn, wow, I didn't need as much as I thought I needed to get more than I ever thought was possible. 2, you've had enough repetitions doing it that the habits and the behaviors that you needed to be held accountable to now are second nature. They're more routine in your life. It's the activation energy to get it going is so much less because it's just, you've done it so many times. It's like Darren Haley. It's like, it's 8:30 on a Tuesday. I just go to the gym. Like, I just go there. Like, I don't even, there's nothing that can get in the way of that because I just block it off, and now it's just a thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in the early days, it was like texting those guys like, hey, you guys showing up today? You got to be there tomorrow.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. Like, but now it's, I don't need to take, I don't see them for 2 weeks. I'll be like, hey, where you been? But, that's a different, that hasn't happened, know? Yeah. All right, well, take home points, final thoughts before we close this one out.
I think it's worth asking yourself what keeps you doing the things that you want to be doing for yourself, especially the hard ones. Do you need something that's missing? If you have something in place, is it keeping you growing or just sort of maintaining the status quo? Mm-hmm. Those are the questions that I would leave people with. How about you?
Just if you feel really like I desperately need someone to hold me accountable, evaluate like what it is that you feel like you need them to hold you accountable to, because you've probably built it up in your mind that you have to do something outrageously hard or outrageously complicated, or something that is such a big departure from your current lifestyle that you just can't fathom even it happening. Go use that as like a guide to like revisiting like, oh, maybe I just need to try a different approach. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, everyone. We will catch you next week.
See ya.